Everyone always associates creativity with art, drawing, painting, even arts and crafts, or maybe it's making music or acting. Creativity can be those things, yes, of course, but creativity is way bigger. Creativity is the life force that keeps you going and makes you excited to wake up every morning. And that's what we want to focus on today. Hey everybody, it's Kelly Anderson, your Feeling Good Mama. Today we're talking about creativity. And I'm not talking about just a weekend hobby. I'm talking about your life force. The thing that makes you want to live. The thing that makes you get excited every day to get out of bed. It's not just a hobby. It's not just something that we do on the weekends. It's not kind of that thing that you're like, I want to start like a little arts and crafts project. This is not what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is how you use your mind and your ideas and visualizing action steps to have an incredible life, to do more things that you enjoy and live more in the flow, and also be able to serve more. So I've been an artist my whole life. Some of you guys who have followed me, you know I love to paint. I have a degree in painting. And when I got out of college, the real world hit me really hard. I had been focusing mostly on painting for 5 years while I was in college. And then all of a sudden I got out of school and I had to get what's known as a real job, which was an 8 to 5, mostly be at a desk kind of job. And all of a sudden I was not able to paint and I was absolutely miserable. It was like something inside me was just completely dying. And throughout my life, I've had periods where I just was not able to paint. When my daughter was born, that was a lot going on, having a child, so I wasn't able to paint very much then. There have just been little pockets of time in my life where I couldn't paint. And when that was going on, it was like there was a part of me that was not alive. There was a part of me that felt like it was a dying, wilting rosebud. And that's a pretty awful feeling to have. I don't know, I'm assuming if you're midlife, you've had moments in your life where you wanted to be doing something more inspiring, more fulfilling, something that really energized you and made you feel alive. And there are times in our life where we get so bogged down, we're not able to do those things. So that's why I say creativity is your life force. And so many people always just associate creativity with art, drawing, painting, maybe creating music, even drama, being in the theater. It's always those kind of artistic things that people associate creativity with. But creativity is so much more. It can certainly be those things, but I believe that we use creativity in everything that we do. It's in the way we walk. It's in our language. It's in how we relate to people, the kind of clothes we wear, the way we decorate our houses, and even the way we cook. Creativity can infuse every little piece of our life. And if we're intentional about it, that creativity can really fuel us and fill us and really bring a joyful life. But when we're not intentional, we actually create what we don't want. And that's just kind of like letting life happen, even sometimes inviting negative things into your life. It can go so far as to the kind of music that you're allowing yourself to listen to or be in your environment, the kind of people you're hanging around, even the kind of movies that you watch. All of that is creativity. It's what you are creating for yourself, your life, and even for those around you. A lot of times when we are not being intentional about creating the life that we want, we can become emotionally and spiritually stuck or blocked. And this is a terrible feeling. It's a terrible place to be in. And a lot of times when we are in these places, that is what brings on anxiety, depression, anxiousness, a lot of psychological issues and behaviors are brought on when we're not being intentional about filling our life with beautiful things and joyful things. Those things take work. And a lot of times they are not the easier things to bring into our lives. So sometimes it's much easier. I think the natural order of things is chaos. So if we're not intentional, things can get very chaotic. And that's what we are creating for ourselves if we're not working to keep order, to keep beauty, to keep the nice things in our life. So, and you can also get very bored. If you're bored, you're not being very, very creative either. Or either you've been so extremely creative that you're exhausted and you need to take a break. But that's not really what I'm talking about. Boredom is when you're not using your mind to create new and exciting things. You're kind of waiting for the world to bring it to you instead of you making it happen. So what I'm talking about here as far as creativity is mostly just being very proactive about creating what you want, more of what you want in your life. And so I want you to think of creativity as energy. When we fill our lives with the things that bring us joy, with the things that make us happy and excited, life feels more fulfilling. Life seems easier. It feels more in flow and things just seem to happen more gently and easily. And we also seem to attract more of the good. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but when you're in a good mood, good things seem to happen. And then when you're in a kind of a negative down mood, it just seems like everything bad is happening, right? So we want to be intentional and make sure that we are trying to infuse that positivity, that taking action toward those things that just bring us more life. I think that there is just a real epidemic out there these days of just a low level of life. It's kind of, sometimes it feels like humanity is just barely hanging on in some instances. We don't take as much care in how we look anymore, or how we dress, or just our character. What kind of person are we being? We don't take as much care to those things anymore. And I think that it kind of leads to a somewhat lackluster life and lackluster existence on earth. And that's not what we want here. This is all about feeling good. It's about living so inspired and just living a life that really you are living encouraged and ready to go every day, and you're doing the same for others. So, women 40 plus, I think specifically we need to be thinking very much about bringing more creativity into our life. And yes, that might definitely mean bringing more activities that we love, like painting and drawing and making music. But it can be any host of things. It's mostly about creating those opportunities and activities that just make us feel so good. I think a lot of times women 40 plus, we've kind of come to a crossroads. Some of us have spent so much time serving our families, and that has just been absolutely wonderful. But then we've kind of lost a piece of ourselves, and we've kind of forgotten, what was it? What was that thing? A lot of times in childhood is what we need to go back to. What was that thing that just gave me such a spark? It gave me energy. It gave me life. What was that thing? Sometimes in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, we start to forget what those things were. We just get so much distance from those things that they're just forgotten. So we need to try to get back to that. I think that's very important. Also, women in our 40s, it's kind of like we're rounding a corner, and in a lot of ways, we're tired. We've already lived a lot of life. We're tired. And so it's a time that we need to start thinking about getting re-energized. And the best way to do that is to kind of shift. Start doing more of the things that you love, more of the things that you enjoy, to get re-energized, excited again about your life, excited again about getting out, making a difference, making things happen. And then there's also, in this age group, in our age group, there's this idea of wanting to reinvent ourselves. We've been this person for a long time that it served us well. The person that we have been served us well. We've been great moms, great daughters, great not brothers, we've been great sisters, and we have been great co-workers, friends, and I'm not saying any of that needs to stop by any means, but now is the time that we want to start having a little bit of a different experience. It's kind of like been there, done that. It worked well, but let's see what new thing we can do over here. So creativity is very important in that aspect of reinventing ourselves, making us a new grander, more expansive and fun version of ourselves. A lot of times I will hear from women in this age group things like, it's too late. I missed the boat. I wish I could have done this, but I just missed that opportunity. And I want to tell you women who might be feeling this way, it's normal to feel this way. And I think it goes back to what I just said. At this age, we're a little bit tired. And when you feel tired, you kind of feel like, okay, I'm done. I can't really do anymore. But I'm here to tell you that now is the time. It is not too late. And now is the time to really start turning things around. And I guarantee you, as soon as you start thinking about things that you would like to start doing, things that excite you, you will start to get new energy. You will start to become revitalized, and you'll start to have that feeling of, yes, it's not too late. I can do this. And there are so many just spectacular women who really didn't start their careers. They didn't start what they are really known for until they were in their 60s, sometimes 70s, 80s. And so I want you to always keep in mind it's never too late. Also, a lot of you women out there might be having the thought of, I'm not good enough, because you've had several years where you may have been at home raising a family, working on your beautiful home, and you feel like, I've been out of the game. I'm not as sharp as I used to be. Or maybe I don't have the right education for that or the right experience. And I want to tell you the same thing. It's not too late. There's always time to reinvent yourself. And there's always time to get creative and start working towards something that just makes you feel so good and so alive. The other thing that I hear is, I just don't have the time. Even though your children may be grown and have started to move off and start their own lives, you still may feel like your time is restricted. But I want to encourage you to really sit down and look at your time and start to make the time. It's important. Making the time for the things that you love, for the things that make you happy, for making the time for starting to create that vision of who you want to be, what you want to be doing. That is not wasted time. It's important time, and I want you to start setting that time, making space to get out there and start doing some really fun and amazing things. So I hope you see that creativity is not just like the weekend craft project. It's not going to the, what are those, paint parties? I'm not saying those aren't fun and those aren't important. Do those things. I'm not saying to not be, cooking cupcakes, if that's what you do as a creative project. I'm not saying don't stop doing those things, but what I'm talking about is much bigger. What I'm talking about is your life. Creativity is your life force. So if you're waking up in the morning and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this all over again. If you're not waking up excited about your life, that is a real clue that you need to turn some things around. You need to start working to get more creative, start getting energized, and even think about reinventing. If you're kind of tired of the way things have been, if you start thinking about that whole concept of reinventing yourself, it can seem kind of scary and kind of daunting. And that's a whole other episode. But wow, when you start to really dive into it, your creative juices can start going crazy. And I want you to sit down and journal about this as much as you like. I like to journal about this every day. If you could reinvent yourself, who would you be? What would you be doing? What kind of clothes would you be wearing? What kind of places would you be going? And who would you be hanging out with? How would you be talking? That is so creative, and it can be so much fun. Whatever you're coming up with, I want you to come up with things that are really like, wow, that would be so amazing if I could experience that, if I could be that. That's where I want you to go in your head. And that's nowhere close to like the weekend crafting project. This is a whole different ball game, what I'm talking about here. Think of this as more of my life energy. How am I going to get my life energy really revved up, really going again? So I would like to encourage you guys, if you like this video, come up with something that you want to start doing that's going to be a little bit more creative in your life. Maybe it's you're going to start wearing your hair a little bit differently, or start dressing a little bit differently. Maybe it's that you are going to carry yourself a little bit taller and maybe walk a little bit slower. Whatever it is, I'd love for you to share it on whatever social media you're on and tag me, if you will. I would love to hear what you're up to. I'm Kelly Anderson. I am a mom, an artist, a movement, mindset, and creativity coach for women 40 plus. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me today. I love having you in my Feelin Good community. We'll see you on the flip side.